Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Azabi here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We're on episode 134, and in the last episode, it was a fantastic episode, especially the revelation at the end that essentially the king and, well, with Yuppie being dead, Shia being the only royal guard left, both him and, both Meruem and Shia are basically fucked. With like radiation poisoning from the bomb that went off, which basically cemented it for me that I'm happy that Meruem did actually come back for that. I was a bit like dubious as to him coming back and whether I thought that was a good thing or not for the story in general. But I feel like it's yeah, I feel like I'm happy with the outcome that's sort of occurred because of that. And you know what's going to end up happening because of this. I feel like Meruem's going to be able to get his memories back regarding Komugi. I feel like they're going to have like a little time together, and then I think Meruem's going to die, and it's going to be like this sad whole event thing that happens with Komugi probably in tears. I feel like I can just see that happening, so yeah, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it'll happen this episode, but I feel like it's coming pretty soon. So yeah, I mean, that's all I've got. So without further ado, we're going to get in episode 134 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 134. Right, that's it. Official. Meruem has changed for the better, though it's... I mean, I'm glad that I'm just happy that he finally got to this position. Like, he's changed for the better, and now he has to really... I don't know how long he's got left to live, but like, at least there, like, at the end. And because of that, it means that there's no real reason why anybody else should die, right? I mean, I know Shia's still left alive, but I don't see... I think Shia's like defeated. Like, I feel like Shia would have preferred to have died there, like, and sacrificed himself to not give up that information, and that loyalty, because it's like worse having to live. It's almost like it's like torture to him, I wonder if Meruem was like kind of doing it on purpose, like torturing him, like leaving him alive because of that. Because it's worse to live with that knowledge that, like the worst thing that Shia would have wanted was that, he would have preferred death over what has just transpired, but So yeah, I mean, I've got to wonder, because I was thinking, like, considering how precious Komugi is to Meruem, I was like, he's gonna be pissed, So I wonder if there was something like within that. And fucking Welfin, man, proper MVP this episode. He even after telling him like about Komugi and everything, and thinking that, because it wasn't even like, he could have said nothing at that point. Like, it wasn't even a, like, in Welfin's mind, I feel like he knew that he was going to die. So it wasn't even a case of saying something. I feel like it wasn't a case of saying something that would save his life, but one that would, because I know he was going through that at first, but it was afterwards when Meruem said that he was hungry, right? And it was like, I'm going to die here, just say something. And I feel like at the end, when he chose to say, the one word Komugi, which ended up being a name, I feel like just Welfin was this, like, the character for this episode was completely like doing things for the benefit of other people. Like, he was very selfless this episode, and even at the end there, when, because Meruem at this point had basically gone onto the human side. Like he became more human than Ant, whereas before he was obviously wavering, like they said. That he didn't kill him and allowed him to live, and said that I hope he can live as a human. Like even after that, Welfin said that there's only one person I'll call king. Like even then, like even knowing that he could literally go and be free, still decided to shout out that, knowing that that could have been the death of him there as well. Like it's just nuts. Welfin, man, what a guy. I think they did that. I think it was written on purpose to have a lot of the Chimera ants be sort of human, and have them come out sympathetic, and you're able to sort of understand them a lot of the time, especially like with the likes of a Calgo. Like he's obviously been the main one going through. We hadn't had a lot of Mello, but we got hit. Like the reasoning was because obviously the king killed his friend and whatnot. So there was that. So I'm sure like if we got more with him, we would have pretty much the same kind of stuff. And then obviously there with Welfin, even with the likes of Nefapito. At times, well, at one time when she was basically given the direct order to heal Komugi, and there was that just straight up protective sort of nature that she had, and I think even until like Nefapito's death, she still carried that, because it was a case of I need to kill Go, and it's not that I want to, but I must do it for the sake of the king. So there was a lot of human motivations within like the Chimera ants that were coming out, written in this whole arc, and I know why. Like it was clearly written that way on purpose, because the idea is that they're not like, they were written to get to a point where they weren't all that different from us. So So yeah, that was crazy. And the one that didn't change was Shire in the end, which of course, I mean, he lasted longer than the other two Royal Guards, which I didn't see coming. But I feel like there's nothing else for him to really do now. I feel like he might as well be dead, because his whole, it's like he put so much into this thing of getting rid of Komugi for the sake of the king, that now that has been completely like done, like there is nothing that Shire could do to even kill Komugi at this point. I really don't like. He would never get close before Meruem would just kill him. So it's almost like he might as well be dead. Like there's almost like nothing for him. I mean, he said that at the end, like, there's nothing I can do but just kind of, what was it, like nod or something like that, or whatever. But it's just, yeah, it's like his resolve to anything is just completely nothing in regards to what he was trying to do. And because he didn't accomplish that goal, like, if we do see him, like, if I don't know, if we see like Meruem like giving him orders or something like that, I feel like he'll just be like, yeah, of course, and that'll be it. I don't think that we'll get any, like, because at this point there's nothing for the only reason why it worked in this regard for Shire to kind of go against Meruem's wishes was because the story was written around the fact that Shire was trying to do the best for the king, and with the king not having his memories, it kind of worked so that they were kind of going against each other, even though he's thinking that he's doing the best for him and stuff. And now that just isn't the case anymore, there's like, I don't think there would be any reason as to why Shire would want to go against the king at this point. Like, I just don't think that's. I don't think that would. I know the Chimera ants do like evolve their sort of mentality, and it would be interesting actually if that was the one thing Shire did do, because seeing as he's the only one that hasn't evolved to like change his sort of perspective on their life and stuff, while Neferpitou and Yuppie did. It would be interesting if Shia did go the opposite way and he was able to get out of that whole thing of serving the king to no end. It would be interesting if he evolved like that sort of like that direction, and then it was like a kid. I mean, let's be honest. Even if that was the case, like Shia just wouldn't. He wouldn't stand a chance, would he? He really wouldn't. And I think Shia's going to die before Meruem does. Again, it's like I talked about in the last episode, where like in the post discussion where I was talking about, I'm not sure if the life force determines how long they would have exposed to this poison. But it seems like, Meruem's only had one nosebleed. Shia's like, he's coughed up once. And he's like, his nose was like constantly bleeding throughout this entire episode almost. So, I don't know. It may be a case of next episode, Meruem goes underground. Palm could probably let him know what's going on with like why they're just straight up dying and stuff, because obviously she knows. It'll be interesting to see how Meruem takes that, because I mean, now that because we know now that he's far on the human side as opposed to the ant side, right? Like, what is his? I want to know what his goal now becomes. Like, does he still want to be king or not? Because he can still be king, but if he's got like a more human approach to it, then it would just him like becoming, like a human king, and it not being a case of trying to take everybody over but still ruling. Like so I don't know if his mission is like still that. But he does it obviously with a more compassionate sort of outlook. I mean, well, let's be honest, he's not going to make it to that point anyway. But it's just, it would be nice if his goal just at the end, even before knowing that he's going to have like his ultimate demise, would be that like my goal is to I just want to play Gungi with Komugi or whatever and just hang out with her, somebody that was a character that was bred for like one reason, right? To take over the whole fucking world and be so much more powerful than anybody else. Their goal from like, wanting to do things for entertainment, for hunger reasons. There wasn't really much going on there. It was pretty one note. Gradually changing with the likes of, contests like an entertainment and Komugi coming in. For something that the goal was so like massive in scale to something like so human and pure, to just to go out on would be it'd be nice. And yeah, it'll be a good sort of like end for him, I think, because I said, what was it? Was it the beginning of this episode or last episode? I think it was the beginning of this episode. I was saying that the great thing is that a show that is set up to be like a shonen does things completely not shonen. Like if it was a shonen, this would have ended with fights that were like just straight up one, like incapacitating the other. But there's so much like motivation and there's stuff like behind it that completely changes it up. And having such a massive villain in like the biggest arc that the show has, and like having him be taken out by poisoning, radiation, whatever, from the fight that that would have, if it had have ended the way that it did with the nuke and everything like that, typical shonen, even that's not typical show, and like ending it like that, you know. But because of that stark change between the two Meruems before and then after, when he gets his memories of Komugi back, to end like a serious villain's arc that way is huge, and I like it. It's so different, and I think it just like I am excited to just watch this, like after I've reacted to it, to go through it again and just watch it, like, and just enjoy it, you know, because like on a second time through, obviously knowing what's coming, but because it is in like the writing is like so in depth and everything like that, that just like a second time watching it can be just as enjoyable as the first time. You know, I got that with Attack on Titan as well. So, you know, like if you wanted like a sort of some kind of graph as to like how high I rate the writing in this show, it's like Attack on Titan. I really think in regards to the motivations and the way they go about writing the story and the characters and how they interact with each other, and then how that affects like certain characters, and how like the revelations do come to pass and do shock you in certain regards. I just think it's really, really, really well put together, you know. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's as high as Attack on Titan in terms of writing, but it's up there in terms of shows that I have reacted to. That, you know, it's probably just behind Attack on Titan in that regard. Just like really just. So really, really cool. Enjoying it a lot. So yeah, Yuppie did die of the poison. That was confirmed. Meruem can sense the emotion of those by using N, and that's something that obviously he got from Shia. And yeah, the other thing was at the very beginning, it said it was, you know, it did the whole backstory thing. It wasn't backstory. It was just basically comparing like more real world stuff. Like it was like, you know, like a slideshow of real life things that, you know, we humans have done, and that's basically what makes us like even worse than the likes of these chimera ants and stuff, you know. You know, so that there is that, but they said at the end there, because obviously it led into Shia coughing up. I wondered if they were like, it seemed like the way the narrator was saying it, that he said that the reason why Shia has become affected was because he was near somebody that was affected. Now I'm a bit concerned about that, because that means that I don't want him to interact with other people there. You know, I don't want him to go see Palm. I don't want him to go. I mean, here's the thing, right? I'm just going to say it's radiation. If it's not radiation and it acts differently, it seems like it acts pretty much exactly the same, as far as I can tell. They call it poison in this, but, you know, I think it's just, I mean, radiation's a poison as well. So I'm just going to say it's radiation. If it is, then it can have different, like differing effects depending on how close you are to the radiation in question. So if you're like, you know, I mean, Shia was hanging literally off, you know, like the back of Meruem's tail while he was flying over here. I mean, it's very quick, and they were also like within the blast zone. Like the blast had literally just finished and they were already in there, so they were already taking it in. So I feel like it could affect like you if you're standing within like a certain distance or whatever, to like Meruem, because I imagine if it is radiation that he is irradiated and he's given that off. So maybe because Palm, you know, if he goes and sees Palm and Akalgo and Komugi and stuff, they weren't even like near the blast zone at all. So, you know, they may get irradiated a bit, but probably not much to actually affect them as much. So I don't know, we'll see. It may work different actually in terms of, because it said that the poison almost like worked in a way to create like continuously create new poisons. So like I guess the immune system like can't like fight against it. But then again, it's like radiation just like it just breaks through fucking cells. Like, it just, it's like fucking like minute, just like real fucking shards of glass that just get in and just fucking fuck you up. So I don't know if it really works all that different. I just don't want it to affect our characters, you know what I mean? Like, we don't need any more character deaths, right? We don't need any more. I mean, now that I think about it, we've come out really fucking well, haven't we? We've come out really well. Considering the start of this, I mean, the only one that really died on our side was Netero. Right? So when I say that, like, no one else has to die, I guess I'm like, I don't know, I guess because I'm just throwing in, like, Yuppie and fucking Neferpito in there. Like, we did well. I mean, Gon has sacrificed, like, a lot. And to what degree, I don't know. It hasn't been confirmed yet, right? So, I guess that is, like, something to take into account. Like, it's easy to just say, oh, we had, like, next to no deaths, so we came out pretty well. But in reality, I mean, Nov's fucked. Palm, I feel like Palm came out very well, because she's, like, evolved now. You know what I mean? So she came out really well. Yeah, Gon, like, sacrificed a lot in that, and also, like, he got the confirmation that Kite was dead, but we kind of knew that anyway as viewers. I mean, but in terms of losses, it's really just Netero and Gon's, like, whatever Gon has sacrificed. Shoot came off pretty bad, but I feel like he'll be all right because he's been in good hands now for a bit. Akalgo's, like, a bit fucked up on the top of the head, but I think he'll be all right. Knuckles fine. Mellow's fine. They're just knocked out, aren't they? Killwa's great. Morel, he's fine. He got taken out into the hospital. So yeah, I think, like, in terms of our crew, like, the losses were fairly, like, very minimal considering. Well, let's be honest, right? So what Merum said that Shire's, like, go get, like, questions, or ask them questions or whatever, and then release them, right? He gave that specifically to Shire. Now, was Shire talking about Knuckle and Mellow then? You see, this is the case. It's all going to depend on how Shire reacts to all of this, because he could just be like really down in the dumps essentially, and not, like, like, his resolve or whatever is, like, completely destroyed, and now he's just following orders, even though he's not like I mean, he could be, like, happy to obviously serve Meruem and whatnot, but it could just be a case of, like, he's just very, he's not in a good place really, right? But he could just follow the orders, or he could do what I said and evolve into, like, that other side that Nefer and Yuppie didn't, like, the side that actually goes against and rebels against the king, even though you'll not have a choice. But if it's just up to him to go release the other, he may just fucking kill him. I hope he fucking doesn't, but it could happen. So that's pretty much dependent on that, right? It's gotta be. So, I mean, we'll see what happens next episode. But yeah, I mean, these last two episodes have really turned my way of thinking about Meruem coming back and whatnot, and everything that was happening with Shire. So I'm really happy about that. Really, really happy. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got. So thank you everybody for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. But by the time this episode comes out on YouTube for the general public, I will have finished the show. So you can go over now and become an early access tier patron and just binge watch until until the end of the show. If you can do it within a month, which seems pretty easy, then it'll only cost you $5 for that. Or you can just wait for them to come out every week, 2 episodes and whatnot. and just, you know, wait for it that way. There's also $10 there for full length. That doesn't matter for this show, but for other shows you will need that. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have a show reacted to. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. You know, with this coming to an end now, I've got, you know, some like slots opening up for new shows and things like that. So, you know, by the time this episode comes out on YouTube for the general public, I will have started them shows anyway. So, you know, but anyway, yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.